this video, I'm going to show you what you're going to need / want as a mini painter. Mainly just going to show you my setup, but once you get a board game, you are going to open it up and find out that there are some minis in there that you want to be painted. And I've already primed these ones, but ones like this, you can see they have not been primed. Before you paint them, you need to prime them. I generally use gray primer. This is Rust-Oleum 2x Ultra Cover Flat Gray Primer. You can also use white primer or black primer. Why would you want to use different primers? If you are painting a mini that, focus please, mini that is mostly black, you can use black primer, and then you won't have to paint all the parts that are black. Please focus, camera. I have too much things in the background. Things that are mostly black, you can skip a few parts of painting it if you paint mostly black with black primer, like the things from Horizon Zero Dawn. All the machines have a dark undercoating, so it'll make it faster. However, if you are painting something that has skin tone, I'll move the light a little bit closer, something with skin tone, you are going to want to paint in either gray or white so that the colors show up better, because painting skin tone on black primer is not good. Can't do that. You can. Very difficult. Or, like this one, has a lot of bright colors, you'll want to paint the primer in either gray or white. But if you have some characters like this that are fully armored up, not showing any skin or bright colors for the most part, you can prime them in black. Let's see, with this model, it's a little bit larger. This is the Rathalos from Monster Hunter. The top looks very dark, but the bottom has a lighter tone to it. So I spray painted this one gray, and that way I can get darker colors and lighter colors on there, and it looks pretty good. Something colorful like this, definitely want either white or gray primer. In order to prime, you are definitely going to want a face mask. This is actually a need, not a want. You need a face mask. Using a spray paint puts paint into the air, which you might be breathing if you don't have a mask to protect you from that. Now this is a want, not a need. You're going to want a trigger grip. That way you can stick it on the spray paint can, and it's a lot easier to spray with. I also like to take the caps from the Great Stuff spray foam and use them as the caps instead of the spray paint caps, because the spray paint caps are very hard to take off, whereas these ones snap on and come right off without any difficulty. You don't have to do that, but that's what I've been doing. Also, you're going to want some rubber gloves. You put these on. I got the long ones. That way, a lot of my arm is covered and won't be painted. What I have been doing is putting my minis on top of a Ziploc cardboard container. That way I can stick my hand in it and be spraying the minis, and hopefully not my hand, but I still wear rubber gloves so that doesn't happen. These ones have already been primed, this is just tape. You can use sticky tack. I like to use tape. You roll the tape up so that it's sticky on both sides. You set it down, and then you take a mini that has not been primed yet. And he stays on there, just like so. So, when you're ready to prime your minis, first thing you do, shake up the can. It says to do it for 1 to 2 minutes. I just do it until it sounds right. Yeah, that's good. And then, make sure that it's pointing the right way. Attach your grip on it. That way, when you press it down, it is going to go that way. And then you take your minis. Make sure you've got gloves on, your masks on. You want to be spraying in a constant on it. So you have the mini here, and you start spraying here, and then you stop spraying after you're done. Start spraying, stop spraying. So you'll want to start spraying here. And move it past the minis and stop spraying here. Hopefully you can see that. Start spraying, stop spraying, like so. Just like so. Minis will look well done. And then you just gotta rotate and spray the other side. They look pretty good. Make sure you get back sides. Oh, still green on top. Alright, and then I like to put it in the cardboard box. Stick it in so it doesn't get any dust on it. For larger minis, you're going to hold it in your hand, like so. That's why you need gloves. And then rotate. And hopefully, you don't get any paint on your actual hands when you do this. That looks sufficient. Stick it in there. And make sure that no dust goes on it. We'll wait for it to dry for an hour. Then we leave that there and take them in after an hour. We have this here to make sure we don't spray anything important, like freezers. And that is all. Okay, so after you get your minis painted, you can take them off, and then you can finally paint them the colors that you want. Hold on a second, we need some stuff to do that. Paintbrushes. Well, I would say the most important thing is probably the light that you use while painting, but paintbrushes are pretty important too. there are 3 types of paintbrushes that you are going to want for various purposes. There is the brush that you will use for most things. It's kind of like a beater brush. You can use it for any kind of model, and it gets the job done. And then you're going to want a insane detail brush. This is an army painter one. Very, very thin. That way you can paint eye pupils and very thin details. And then, this is currently the brush that I'm using for dry brushing, where you get a little bit of paint on a brush, dab most of it off on a napkin, and then when you brush it on, it only captures the highlights. Only gets paint on the highlights of it. This doesn't have any paint on it, but I'm just showing you what it would look like. Anyways, those are the 3 brushes that you would need. Now we can talk about the light. This is the light I am using. It is a magnifying light, although I don't usually use the magnifier. It is, if I can get it all in frame. That's the light. It just sits on the corner over there. I can turn it on. I can put my brushes right over there. Perfect. And then, what I like to have is a mug. I fill it with water. That way, in emergencies, when I need to just put a brush down, instead of letting paint dry on the brush while I'm away, I put it in the water, and then I can take care of it later. That's only for emergencies, though. Then we have this, which is 3D printed and can actually hold the 2 different types of paint pots. You got the Citadel pots, and you got the Army Painter, what are these called? These are pots, these are the droppers. And it can also hold paintbrushes in it too. Very nice, very handy. It's got a spot for a cup, so it's perfect. Still not ready to paint yet. We have to have a wet palette, which is probably the most important thing. If you haven't painted with a wet palette, I would definitely suggest getting one. Thank you. This is my wet palette. It is homemade. So what I did was I bought one of these. I already ate all the candy out of it, sorry. Can't have any. This is for... yeah, that. You get one of these, and the container is the wet palette. You can actually use the insert for holding the Citadel paint pots. So, very useful. Just keep that one there for continuity. Any container can work for a wet palette, but what you are going to want is, I bought this from Lowe's. This is a cellulose sponge. You can cut it up into evenly sized pieces, and then you put some water into there, and then you put some parchment paper on top of it. That's what this is. You want parchment paper, not baking paper. Baking paper will not let the water go through to hydrate the paints. Parchment paper. But basically, this one is trash because I let the paint sit out too long. You can take that away. Throw that away. I already have a pre-cut piece, but I show you how to do it. You take your parchment paper, roll it out to approximately the correct size that you need. Rip, please. There you go. but you don't need the whole thing. So you fold it in half. Like so. And then you get yourself some scissors. These will do. Get yourself some scissors, cut it in half. Perfect. And then you take the half piece that you cut, you just lay it down, and now it's ready for paint. But what I like to also have now, because I'm a little spoiled, somebody bought this for me as a gift. It is a freshwater rinse well. You put water into this container, and then you quickly flip it over, and then it will fill up this little reservoir. And whenever you need to clean the brush, there'll be water there. It's got little grips that can clean the brush. And then you press this, and all the water will go down into the well part. And it will refill with clean water. So I have that on the side over there. And then I have on the side under that is a paper towel, which I can dry off the brush to get the correct amount of hydration that you need. So it looks like that. Once those are filled up with water, and you got a good amount of water in the wet palette, then you can start painting. Okay, now we are ready to start painting. Wait, oh no, my continuity. Yeah. Okay, so we look up online a picture of what our mini is supposed to look like. So we look at that picture and we say we're going to need reds and grays. We'll have Tails hold the phone. Reds, grays, blue colored pants, and all that. Yes. Let's see, we got some bronze, we have some uniform gray, some ash gray, we have jungle green, we got leather brown for the leather bits, we got skeleton bone for the bone parts of his weapon. We got the red, probably the most important color. We have orange for some highlights on that red, black, and blue pants. Black for the spikes on the armor. So now we can start painting. Although, when you have these, you're going to want a one of those metal balls rolling around inside to break up the paint when you're shaking it, like that. This one does not have one in it, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Pop this open. Okay, I have one. We're going to set it where the continuity paint goes. We're going to get rid of the continuity paint now. So, open it up, and you're going to take your little paper towel here, and grab the nozzle to take off. It's a little difficult, you need to wiggle it back and forth a bit. If it comes out at all, there we go. Now it is open, and you just take the mixing ball and drop it in there. Put the nozzle back on top. Where's the cap? There. And then put the cap back on, and it is ready. Perfect. Double checking, we got water in the cup. We have water for cleaning the brushes. Now we're ready to paint. So, the most difficult spots are going to be around the neck and behind the shield, where it's kind of harder to get a brush in there. But we shall try our best, and if you cannot see it, it's okay to paint that black. So, let's get started. Make sure this is mixed up enough. Question is, do I want to be using red first or black? Black. Put that on the wet palette. Put black up there. I like to make sure that the paintbrush bristles are wet already before it touches paint, because otherwise it's more difficult to get the paint out of your brush. Now the bottom side of his helmet is black, and we're going to make sure that everything in there that we can see is black. Cracks and crevices. Should make his underarms black too. That would save us a step if we just painted that black. Yeah, looks fine. I wanted to get that step out of the way so I can start doing red. Let me get that red on the wet palette. Probably too much, but we'll use it. Some in the brush, and now if I can get it on the camera well enough, if the camera would focus, we can paint all the portions of his armor that look like the scales. You don't want to go heavy on the paint, so most people do 2 thin coats of paint to ensure that they get a even coverage of color. I like to do it in 1, but sometimes it takes 2. Underside the helmet. You already look so cool. When did that happen? I got red paint all over it. I don't want that. I might have to clean that up later. Well, the good news is that mini paints are pretty easy to clean, as long as you get to them quickly. Okay, what should we do next? Next hardest area is probably the blue paints. So we'll take our blue, put a little bit out, not much, we don't need very much. Small section on the mini. We have rinsed our brush from the red, so now we can use a different color. Okay. We might have to do some touch up on the blue. There it is. Okay, most of his armor is a lighter color, but the shield will be a darker color. So we'll do his armor first, the lighter ash gray. That wet palette. It's probably not enough, probably need more. And actually, since it's so close to the red, I'm going to use the Insane Detail brush. That way we can get closer and look at the detail better. From here I can see I missed a spot of red on the helmet. Not to worry, we'll fix that later. If I remember. I think it's time to switch colors. What do we need now? Might want to finish up the shield. Do the darker color, gray. Uniform gray. We could probably do this part with the other brush, but we're gonna do it this one. Now what's interesting, you won't see much of a difference on camera. The uniform gray is actually very close to the gray primer that I'm using. So if you wanted to keep your bases looking like the gray primer, you have some spots of red on there, you can put some uniform gray and cover it up. Just like that. Oh yeah, that spot I forgot about the red on the helmet. That needs done. Right there. Oh. Right there. Yeah. Now it looks like if we want to finish the sword, we need to pull out the skeleton bone. You can see on the sword it's got a little bit of lighter color right before the blade. Okay. So take out that. Just a little bit. We'll try to do that very carefully. Need a good point on the brush. See, this part is all metal. So this is the part that needs to be that lighter color. Just gonna touch up the glove a little bit and get back to painting black spikes. On the sword there are a lot of them. Alright, we said we were gonna make this band black too. Yeah, that looks okay. No, phone, I still need you. Then we can take out the leather brown. Put some down. Oh no, I got some blue on there. That's why I always have the paper towel handy. There we go. Now we can start working on the belt and all the leather pouches and bits. This little portion right here on the belt is the scout fly cage, which I'm actually going to paint in a metallic, but never use your very good brush. Never use your insane detail brush for metallics. Metallics will ruin a good brush. So I tend to use a different brush or my beater brush to apply it, and never put the metallics on a wet palette. That's also how you ruin a wet palette, so I've been told. So I've always just taken a little bit, put it on my little paper towel here, and then just use it straight from the paper towel. And now it's shiny. Even with the blurred camera, you can tell it's shiny. There we go. It's quite alright to put metallic paint in your washing area. It's not going to do any harm to it. Just make sure when you're drying off your brush and your paper towel that you don't use your dry off your good brush to the metallic paint, and you should be fine. Next, we're gonna let that dry. We're gonna put some jungle green on it. That way it can look like it is glowing, like in the picture. See that little bit right there, it's glowing green. Yep, that's dry. So take a little bit, and since it's got grooves in it, I want to end the grooves. I'm going to water down the paint so it's more like a wash. Might have been too much. Just a little bit of water. We're going to coat it over the cage. Like so. You get a very tiny amount of green in those little grooves. But the mini is basically done right now. It is perfectly acceptable for a tabletop game. What we haven't used the orange yet, which I suppose we should do. We take some orange, and this is just to make it look slightly better. Grab your dry brush, then we put it into the paint, get a fair amount on there, and then we brush most of it off. Okay, and then dry brush a little bit of orange tinge to those scales. Okay, and when you are finished painting your mini, what you want to do, this part is not necessary, but it looks very cool. Take black, and you put it around the rim of the base. It will give your minis a very professional look. Like so. Black base, black rim around the base. And that is the mini done. Of course, now you got paint all over the base, so you might not want to set it down until after it dries, or you get a piece of paper towel like I have over here. Then you can set that down and let it dry like that. And now we're done. Or so we think, because we actually need to clean our brushes. That way they actually last long enough to do whatever painting we want to do next time. And the water well. So, we'll do that in the bathroom. So, here we are in the bathroom. We have our used brushes. And we're going to take some soap in our hand. And you're gonna run it through that soap, spinning it clockwise, counterclockwise, just to make sure that we got all the paint out of there. Looks good. This one, do the same thing. See a small bit of black from all the black we painted. It could be a little rougher on a dry brush. Looks pretty clean. Then you rinse them out. For the detailed brushes, take a towel, dry it off, make sure it is in the point. Use the crease of your hand to do that. Pretty good. And for brushes that like to splinter, there's something that you can do for that. So you take a little bit of Kleenex, and you can wrap it around the brush tip to help it keep that point. And then you rotate. Next time you unravel it, it should be in a point. All dry. Now I have the water well. We can play this fun game called What Color Do You Think the Water Is in There? We used a lot of black, a lot of red, so I'm going to say it's going to be like a pinkish color. Well, it's kind of, no, it's more brown. I like brown happen. Anyways, I want to wash it. And even though you rinse it out like this, that looks clean. Let's wipe it around all the edges. You will see it is not clean. So you'll want to use some soap. Now that's clean. Always wash everything very, very well. Then you set them out to dry. And next time you come to paint, it should be ready. Now, this mini is done, but that doesn't mean that you have to stop painting. You can add more highlights to it, more dry brushing. You can add some white edge lines to the top of the shield and the sword. Give it some nice look. You can clean up all the edges that need to be looking sharp. can even do the base different color or put some grass tufts on the base. But for me, it's done. I can go more, but my hands are starting to get tired. They're starting to shake. So I'll stop. And always for long periods of time, make sure that you take breaks. And always make sure that your back is straight, you got good posture while you are painting. Guess that's the end. Thanks for watching. Where's the off button? Oh no, my camera fell. That's definitely gonna make it into the blooper for sure. Because spray painting primers puts a lot of primer into the air. I can't talk. We're gonna have to cut that out of the video. Spray painting primers. For holding the pots is perfect for holding Citadel Army pots. No, not Army, sorry. Army Painter Citadel. What I have been doing is putting my minis on top of a Ziploc cardboard box. That way I can stick my hand in here. Let me see if I can move the camera a bit. I probably shouldn't do that. Redo. That way. Okay, just came back from slight emergency. Had to help my mom move some heavy stuff, and I forgot to put my brush into the emergency water, which is what that is for. So, paint dried on it a little bit. What's that? You think I need to take a break and stretch? Okay.